Kakadosh Boker or Mishna Yomi, Masechet Batra, Perek Zayin, chapter 7, right? Mishnah Aleph and Bet. Yeah, Mishnah Aleph and Bet. Okay. Haomer lechavero bet kur afar ani mocher lecha. If someone says to this fellow, I'm selling you a bet kur of earth. Yeah. So he says he must give the buyer a full bet kur of farmland that can be easily planted. So therefore, if he says bet kur afar ani mocher lecha, he has to give him the bet kur. Hayu sham nekaim amukim asrat tfachim, or slaim goyim asrat tfachim. If right now there's going to be cracks in the field which are going to be 10 tfachim deep. So again, deep 10 tfachim. Or slaim, you got stones which are going to be high 10 tfachim. Enim dadinima. So then it's not going to be measured with the field. Right? Why? Because basically it does not count towards the 75,000 square amot, right? But that's a bet kurafar. And therefore he comes and he says it's not counted. Why? Because it's too big. So when I come in and sell you a bet kurafar, I have to be able to plant the entire thing. The fact that now I cannot plant in it, because obviously there's going to be other problems, so therefore that's it. So he says, pachot nikan, if it's going to be less than the 10 tfachim, whether it's going to be in height or in depth, so then in the didima, they're going to be part of the 75,000 square miles. But if he told him, kibet kurafar, like a bet kurafar, even if it's going to be, there's going to be holes, right, which are going to be 10 tfachim in depth, or, thank you, or stones which are going to be above the 10 tfachim, so therefore elu nimdadin ima, they're going to be measured right with the rest of the field. Okay, so that was Mishnah Aleph. Okay, Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Bet. Bet kurafar ani mochelecha mida bechevel. Right, if the seller said, I'm going to sell you a bet kur of earth that is measured by the line. Chevel is like the rope. So mamash, in the olden days, that's why they used to use it. So they're going to come and they're going to measure it exactly. Okay? So the language means that he's selling a field exactly of 180 kav. Right? 180 kavim. Okay? So he comes and he says, Pichet kol shehu, even if he left a little bit less, yinakeh, he has to deduct it from the price. Right? Why? Because that's it. If I told you it's by measure, and I tell you exactly by measure, that's it. Hotir kol shehu, if you gave him a little bit extra, yachzir, he has to give it back. Imamar, but if he told him, one second, he says, Imamar, if he tells him, hen chaser en yeter, more or less, so then if you pichet rova l'seah or hotir rova l'seah, even if it's going to be a quarter, right, per seah, right, less than a quarter of the kav per seah, right, so he says it's going to be okay, higio, it's going to be fine. Why is it going to be fine? Because at the end of the day, since he went and he told him, pachot yoter, meaning chaser yoter, it's like more or less. The second you say more or less, now everything is going to be okay. Yoter mikamer, if it's going to be more than this discrepancy between them, you have to make a calculation, and therefore that's what you're going to do. Now the question is, what do you give back? Right, I think that's what the doctor wanted to ask. Ma'u machzil lo ma'ut. Right, what does he want to give back exactly? Right, ma'u machzil lo ma'ut. He has to give him back money. What does that mean? He's going to give him the value of that which he gave extra or less. But if he wants, the seller could actually come, right, and the buyer must return the actual land. Meaning that it all depends on the seller. That if the seller wants the land instead of the money back, he has to give him back the land. So why did they say bichlal that he could give him back money then? So he says in order to strengthen the koach, the hand of the seller. So he's not going to be left with a very small parcel of land that is going to be useless to himself. So therefore, he's always going to have, right, something behind. Because if right now he's going to come and he's going to have the extra land that is left and is going to be measured as 9 kavim or more, uvagina bet chetzi kav or nagina, it's going to be half of a kav, right? Uchtivre Rabbi Akiva bet rova, right? And he says like this, and according to Rabbi Akiva, it's going to be bet rova of a kav. Machzilu at karka, he has to give him back the land to the seller. We do not make him buy it. Why? Because basically, if it's going to be less than this, he says he could keep the extra land without suffering a loss. So therefore, there's no reason to come and to make the buyer buy it. The same thing with the garden. Because basically, in all these cases, if it's large enough to be useful, so then the buyer returns the extra land, right? And he does not have to buy it, because it's still useful. And not only does he have to give back the rova, the kav, but rather all the excess. Meaning the second that there's going to be excess, you give everything back. Meaning beforehand, when it was only going to be a little bit amount, so then mivatrim, kilo, no, don't worry about it. But the second that you do have to start giving back, so now you have to give the full amount back. It's not just to come and give you a little bit back. Now it's less than the rova kav. You have to give all the excess, right, of what we mentioned beforehand.